As tensions remain high in the Middle East, there are many questions about the billions of your taxpayer dollars sent to Iran, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, including Hamas and Hezbollah. Joining us this morning to break it all down is Adam Andrzejewski, CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com. Good morning to you, Adam. Great to see you,
Jen.
As always. So auditors at OpenTheBooks.com searched the federal checkbook for direct payments to all those entities in Iran. And what did you find?
Well, since 1984, Iran's been on the state sponsor list, so taxpayer dollars are not supposed to go in country. Yet we found 3 instances where this actually happened over the course of the last decade. 2 were wealthy universities. Number 1, Yale. They took a National Science Foundation grant for $17,000 to do in-country Iran research for a doctoral dissertation. Number 2 was Johns Hopkins University, $600,000 grant from Health and Human Services, of which $200,000 went on a sub-grant to the Tehran Medical School. They're a subdivision of the government of Iran itself. Here's the 3rd instance. We found 165 payments went to retirees. They qualified under U.S. Social Security. They're enjoying their retirement back in Iran, and their Social Security checks were paid back to them in Iran.
And $10 billion was also made available to Iran earlier this year when the Biden administration waived some sanctions so Iran could pay off some debts. Do I have that right? What is this about?
So it's been 20 years since the second invasion of Iran, and incredibly, when U.S. forces left, we left Iran dependent on electricity. We left Iraq dependent on electricity from Iran. And so Iraq has racked up a $10 billion debt for electricity to Iran. And now they've negotiated a barter agreement where they're going to do their own oil to Iran for electricity. You know, Iran had cut off the electricity to Iraq to force this. The Biden administration was in a tough spot. And so $10 billion is going to be paid back to Iran.
Yeah. Meantime, the U.S. right now down 2 to 3 million barrels a day, thanks to Biden's anti-fossil fuel policies. Iran, on the other hand, has increased oil exports by 1.5 million barrels. So how much has Iran benefited from this?
So the economists, Steve Moore, Art Laffer, Larry Kudlow, they did some research on this, and they found it's $40 billion. So the Trump sanctions on oil had left Iran nearly bankrupt. However, when Biden loosened the sanctions on oil, they're able to sell 1.5 million barrels a day, which has amounted to, over the course of 3 years, about $40 billion.
Yeah, speaking of which, we were talking about some of these assets that were frozen for Iran. Plenty of controversy surrounding the $6 billion in assets that the administration unfroze for Iran. And very controversial prisoner swap deal. Do we know the status of that right now?
So that money's sitting in Qatar, and there's supposed to be a quiet agreement between the Biden administration and the government of Qatar not to release that money back to Iran. The critics have said this is not good enough. They're pushing legislation in Congress to stop that flow permanently.
And, you know, we already know Iran has sponsored terrorists. President Biden himself decided to keep Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard on the U.S. terror list. So, you know, when you think about some of these deals that we're making with Iran, why would we even try to restore the 2015 nuclear deal?
Well, that is the real question. A classified government report shows that $100 million a year from Iran goes to Palestinian military aid for terrorist organizations like Hamas, like Palestinian Jihad, like Hezbollah. Iran has rearmed the military in Hezbollah with sophisticated weaponry, including precision-guided missiles. So if it's a two-front war, Israel is going to be fighting not only the terrorist organization backed by Iran, Hamas, but also Hezbollah with sophisticated weaponry.
Founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Great to see you this morning. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.